Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News here at the South Florida Conservative News Center. It is Sunday, October 12th, noon. And before the sun goes behind the cloud and ruins our production value, I want to give you a little update as to the other domino that is dropping in South America, and that is the government of Peru. Those of you who do not know, Peru is in South America. It is. It was kind of an ally of the United States, and its most recent president has been forced to step down. There is a lot of issues we will cover, but of course, the 500-pound gorilla in the room is not just the Venezuelans and everybody involved with the crime syndicate, but the Chinese, who are ultimately behind it all. And in the meantime, we're worried the Qataris are going to have a training facility inside of an Air Force base. The People's Republic of China have toppled four governments in South and Central America recently, have listening posts in Cuba, have possible missile launching systems in Venezuela, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you worry about the Qataris, Laura Loomer. They're the real problem here. So on with the show. Okay. Today we're going to look south, as we said, to Peru, a country that is collapsing into organized chaos, a case study in how the People's Republic of China expands its reach without firing a shot. This is Peru in free fall. This is the impeachment, the foreign gangs, and the quiet consolidation of Chinese power in the country. It happened very fast, or too fast, as people would say. October 10th, 2025, Peru's Congress impeached President Dina Boluarte in a late night session. The vote wasn't even close, 124-0. Sounds like when the Democrats were in charge, right? Within hours, Jose Harry, or Jerry, not sure, the president of Congress, a man most Peruvians couldn't have picked out of a lineup, true enough, was sworn in as interim president. Boluarte's fall didn't come from scandal or foreign policy failure. It came from fear of the chaos unfolding in the streets of Peru and in the minds of the sane. A mass shooting at a Lima concert, a wave of senseless kidnappings, bodies being found in mine tunnels, and behind it all, the unmistakable presence of the president of Venezuela's criminal networks, the Tren de Aragua, and the ultimately now more famous Cartel de las Soles. As one Peruvian journalist put it, we no longer have politics, we have management of fear. So to understand Peru's crisis, you have to look north. Over the past 5 years, millions of Venezuelans have fled the Maduro regime. We'll have to say most of them are honest people, victims of socialism and corruption. Yeah. But within that migration wave came something else, which was organized crime. The Tren de Aragua, born inside, of course, the Venezuelans' Tocoron prison, is no ordinary gang. And do not consider, once again, what we're going to say about the Cartel de las Soles as an ordinary cartel. These are names that are covering much more advanced organizations. TDA is a transnational franchise of violence. It operates in Colombia, in Chile, and Ecuador, and now in Peru. They traffic humans, they run extortion rings, and increasingly they kill for political impact. All right, in Peru, Tren de Aragua has moved beyond street-level racketeering. They have burrowed into the mining corridors, especially in the Pataz region, where 13 workers tied to La Poderosa gold mine were kidnapped, tortured, and murdered in May of 2025. The message is out there. The massacre wasn't about ransom money. It was about sending a message. We control this mine. All right. Peru is no stranger to kidnapping. Mindless political kidnapping, that they take the money and kill you, or they take you and kill you with no money exchanged. They did not understand until they realized what it was really about, which is political murder. right? They're burrowing into the organizations that run the vast copper mines, the vast silver mines that exist in Peru, which is why China is there in the first place, right? So with local police underfunded and the judges are neutered by Congress, these gangs now governed by terror. I'm sorry. They are setting the rules. They are taxing the miners. They decide who lives and who dies. And this is where it gets much darker. Their operations intersect perfectly with Peru's gold routes, the same routes that feed China's booming demand. Surprise, 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 right? So while Peru fights for control of its streets, China has been quietly building control of its ports. The jewel in the crown is Chancay, a deepwater port just north of Lima. It's majorly owned by COSCO, not Costco, not the Costco up the street, COSCO, one of China's massive state-run shipping giants. So think of Chancay as a Pacific gateway, a private express lane from South America straight into China's industrial bloodstream. That's what it's there to do. Through Chancay and nearby infrastructure deals, Beijing has effectively captured Peru's export choke point. All the copper from Las Bambas, silver from Toromocho, and increasingly unregulated gold, which is involved with smuggling and gangs and murder itself, from the interior is going out through this port. Okay, because the Chinese love nothing better than lawless, unregulated shit. So here's the strategic twist. In the first half of 2025, Peru's gold exports to China hit nearly 950 million US dollars, a 46% increase over the previous year, but no one can fully trace where all the gold comes from. Imagine that, right? Analysts believe much of it flows through informal or outright illegal mines that are under cartel influence. So these cartels have already moved in, either threatened, killed, or suborned mining operations in small areas and are taking that gold directly out of the ground at whatever damaging to the environment and the people systems they're using, putting it on a ship and sending it to China. China doesn't pay for anything. And that's how they are doing business in Chancay. Okay. If I'm saying it right, I think it's actually a Chinese term, but we're going to just say this is the term for it. All right. Chancay. Look it up. If you go to our page, southfloridaconservative.com, the written article is there. There is a map that shows you where all the violence is occurring in different parts of Peru, and that port is on there. Okay. So the pattern has become clear, which is typical China. While the gangs destabilize Peru's law enforcement and politics, China's companies step in as the stable partner, controlling logistics, ports, and mineral exports. Beijing doesn't need to invade. It just needs everything else to fall apart. You have to not make your payments to the Chinese, basically, and they will walk in and they will take what is theirs as far as they're concerned. So Jerry's government, meanwhile, has launched a flashy, which I knew, in fact, I sent this to somebody before they even started, a flashy anti-crime situation. They've raided places, they've stormed corrupt prisons, they're seizing phones, they're dragging gang members around in the streets. It's good optics, but as a Human Rights Watch, and I hate to use those guys' notes, Peru's Congress has already dismantled many of the country's investigative tools. So they launch even less effective investigations into crime than the Biden administration area government did. The deeper you dig, the more it looks like a system that's meant to look busy while it collapses, which it is. Criminal gangs are growing stronger. Congress has gained more control. The president of Peru is kind of an irrelevant position at this point. The Congress is where it's at. This is the same situation that you had in El Salvador before Bukele came in, where he had to deal with the Supreme Court because they were nepotism and things of that nature. Western investors, especially U.S. and Canadian miners, are retreating because they do not have security coverage. And into that vacuum walks China with their checkbook and their girls or whatever hell they're giving out for events. So this, if you look at it, will remind those of you who are globally interested of something like Sri Lanka, Zambia, places like that. The Democratic Republic of Congo, except there's no port. Beijing offers development, then debt, then control. In Peru, it doesn't even need the debt part. Instability is enough to guarantee dependence. And the funny thing was, and I verifying this from some people just to make sure, China is so ballsy anymore. They didn't even try to reconstitute the Shining Path, which is a Maoist terrorist organization that operates north and east in the country. They said, fuck it, we'll just use our own guys because Cartel de Solis and Tren de Aragua are so intertwined with the People's Republic of China and its friends in Cuban intelligence and a couple of other people. Why would you bring in the old guard that hasn't been effective when we have this new, dynamic criminal enterprise operating? And that's what they've done. Because that was the first thing I heard when they said about the kidnapping. I said, a shining path back? I said, no, it's a whole other ball game. So that should tell you something right now. This isn't about Maoism. This is about profit, profit, profit. Plus, they'll also be able to start to dabble in the famous Peruvian flake when they get to that, if they need it. You are seeing a group that is going to be moving to control the world cocaine trade as well. And that is an important trade to have because as people start to move against, try to move against fentanyl more and more, and cocaine is out there and cocaine is out there, you have to keep pretending that fentanyl is something else. And cocaine is a very good place to put it to keep killing people. Once again, and I'll keep saying once again, the Chinese import fentanyl into the United States through the Mexicans and the Venezuelans with the assistance of the Cubans in order to kill and incapacitate American citizens. They do not do it for money. In fact, I think if we captured a few of the right people, and we've already had the documents from what I understand, they are paying the drug pushers, meaning into the United States, not the street level guys. They're paying the big importers or exporters a premium, knowing that it kills people when it gets there. It is a war, all gloves, all whatever, all books out the window. This is the fight, and it's here, and it's not going away. So, having said that, what's going to go on here? Who benefits from this? In the short term, obviously, it's going to be these gangs, right? In the medium term, it's going to be corrupt elites in the country and the Congress. They're going to have to put themselves together and find a Quisling type who's going to do the bidding of the long-term winner, which is the People's Republic of China. They need to make it look very legitimate when the government rises up to embrace the people's needs and nationalizes all that gold and all that silver and all that copper, right? Because then it's the people's will. Who's there to stop it? The United Nations will have a party for it, okay? The port of Chancay is operational. Beijing now commands the physical artery of Peru's export community. If Peru's institutions fail, which they are failing at a daily basis, China's influence doesn't weaken, it intensifies. Peru may soon be the first fully functional example of a new kind of state where the government is too weak to govern, but strong enough to sign the contracts that Beijing needs. And that's fucking sickening. But we were getting there ourselves, so let's not come down on the Peruvians so hard. When you look at Peru today, you're not just seeing political dysfunction, you're seeing a 21st century battlefield. This could come to us it's coming to us. It is here. We're just able to hold off better than the Peruvians. The element of the narcotic stuff wasn't able to really work so much because Peru was never, they did drugs, but they didn't have the money to do drugs like the Americans did. Plus, they had cocaine all over the place, right? You have to get people predisposed to want to throw their soul away with the heroin and the fentanyl. These people weren't really ready for that. Russia was, things like that. You can see it. Some drugs work different places. It's tools in a toolbox. So Beijing's approach isn't about an invasion. It's not about our ideology. It's quiet consolidation. It buys time. It buys ports. It buys silence. They fucked up in a couple of things that I've seen. We're not going to talk about. Hopefully, the president also has people that saw the same things we did, and things can happen without even having to resort to violence. So Peru's story is going to be a warning to the entire hemisphere. A nation doesn't have to lose a war to lose control. It all even takes corruption, it takes fear, and it takes this Chinese dragon sitting patiently offshore waiting for you to falter. So on that note, have a good Sunday, and we'll talk to you all later on. Goodbye.